Johnson County in Wyoming had been settled by cattle barons in the 1870s. These were men who ran large ranches. They became very powerful in the state and joined together in the Wyoming Stock Growers Association. Among the members was the governor of Wyoming and the important individuals in the state. Its purpose was to protect the interests of its powerful members. By the 1880s, 3 threats had developed. The 3 causes of the problem were: beef prices were falling, the harsh winter of 1886 had damaged income from ranching cattle. Number 2, homesteaders and small ranchers were settling in Wyoming. This led to disputes over land ownership. These people were settling on land which the cattle barons had claimed, "My land!" Also, cattle rustling had become a problem. The cattle barons lost cattle to rustlers and blamed the homesteaders and small ranchers. "It wasn't me, though." It was hard to get juries of local men to convict men accused of rustling, so they took law into their own hands. The first killings took place in 1889. Jim Averill, who ran a small store and saloon, and his partner, a prostitute called Ella Watson, were living on land claimed by a cattle baron. They were lynched outside their cabin. No one was prosecuted for the crime, although the cattle barons were known to be responsible. The cattle barons claimed that the 2, were rustlers. "You rustlers." Ella was said to accept cattle for payment for her services, and she was accused of rustling. No. They took it a step further. In 1892, the cattle barons planned a full-scale invasion of Johnson County. The acting governor of Wyoming knew all about it and even supplied guns. A death list of names was drawn up and gunfighters were recruited. They were brought to Wyoming on a special train provided by the Union Pacific Railway Company, not Tesco's. The gunfighters and cattlemen made up an invasion force of about roughly 50 men. The plan was to capture the town of Buffalo, kill the sheriff, and then kill the rest of the men on the list. The initial plan was the invaders began cutting telegraph wires to cut off Johnson County from the outside world, but then the plan went wrong. They were stopped by the heroic resistance of Nate Champion. Nate Champion! But after the death of his friend, he held off all the invaders all day until they finally burnt him out in his cabin. He's in his cabin. While this was going on, the invaders were spotted by some passing riders. Oh, look! By the time Nate Champion was dead, the alarm had been raised for Buffalo. "There's an alarm! Quick! There's an issue! Quick, come!" Next day, as the invaders approached Buffalo, they heard that local people were armed and ready. Then they retreated. They were besieged by nearly 300 men. Whoa! Help! Until the US cavalry arrived to save them. "I've saved you." The invaders were taken into protective custody. The war ended with 2 dead, Nate Champion and his friend. Nate Champion. The large-scale cattle ranchers were never convicted for their actions. However, they never had the same power in Wyoming again. The homesteaders were able to continue their lives in peace. The end.